Hello everybody, this video tutorial is going to look at how we create a spatial query in ArcMap. A spatial query is when we want to select certain data based on its spatial location. And the GIS can do this by looking at a number of different files. And what we're going to do today is we're going to ask the GIS to select for us all the towns in a particular county. Now, we saw in one of the previous video tutorials how we can alter the symbology of shapefiles just to appear more visually clear. And so this is what we're going to do here first. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to make just each of the dots to represent towns just a little bit smaller. So we do that by right-clicking on the Ireland Towns file, going into Properties, and then when the Symbology tab comes up, we can change this symbol by clicking on it. And I am going to change its color just to a dark color grey, and I'm going to make it slightly smaller. We could also change its shape, what it looks like, to any one of these options here, but we're going to keep it quite simple. Click OK, then Apply, then OK. And we can see how each of those dots is now a little bit smaller. It just take up a little bit less space. It just appears here slightly less clustered. So we're going to do the same for Ireland counties, just to delineate the boundaries a little bit clearer for the sake of just our own sake when performing this operation. So again, we want to right click on counties, go into properties, go to categories, and we're going to ask the GIS to look in the column name, and everywhere it sees a different name we're going to ask it to give it a different color. I want to make sure we're using a nice kind of distributed color ramp, so we're going to go with these pastel colors here, and we can just click on add all values. And you'll see immediately that this space here has been populated with each of the different values from the value field name, and the GIS has automatically assigned a different color for each of them. So we can click apply, we can click OK. We can see here that each of the different county values are listed in the table of contents here. We can shrink that down, make it a little bit easier to deal with. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we're going to build a spatial query. And the first thing we need to do is highlight what part of our island of Ireland we want to perform this query in. And we're going to do that by using this select tool we have highlighted here. Now there's two ways of doing that. The first is to use this tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch off Ireland Towns, and we're going to switch off Ireland Coastline, so that this tool will only select within Ireland counties. And we are going to select Clare. Okay, you can see there that Clare has been highlighted. Now if we open up the attribute table, we can see that there's one highlighted element here, and that is Clare here. We can change that if we wanted to just by selecting a different one, and we'll see here that Meath has been done, but we're going to stick with Clare, so let's go back and highlight that. Now we can kill this quite easily and it will stay highlighted. Now we're going to switch back on the Ireland Towns, and we are going to perform this spatial query using the selection tool, which is found at the top here of your GIS. So let's click on that, and we're going to go to select by location. Now this opens up what's called a query builder, and the query builder enables us to construct a spatial query from a series of drop-down options looking at two different shapefiles. So it's all quite self-explanatory. I want to select features from Ireland Towns that are within, perfect, but look at all these other options we have here. We want to stay with that are within Ireland counties, and we want to select use selected features because we have selected the area within Ireland counties that we want the GIS to focus on. If we didn't click that button, what the GIS would do is assume that we want to select all towns within the entire shapefile, which will actually highlight and identify all the towns in Ireland. So once we've made sure that all our details are correct, we can click apply. And we can see immediately that all the towns in the County Clare have been highlighted. So once we've done that, we can click OK. Okay, now let's take a zoom in, look at that a little bit closer. Okay, we can see that the county outline is still highlighted, as are all the individual towns. Let's go back to our maximum extent. What we're going to do now is we're going to export the selection of highlighted towns and create a new GIS file. So if we look in the Ireland Towns attribute table, we can see that all the counties in Clare have been highlighted. And we can organise that quite simply by double clicking on the county tab. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to export this data. So on your Irish Towns dataset, I want you to right click the same way as if we were going into properties, but we're not going to go into properties. We're going to go down to data and we're going to go to export data. You're going to go to your space where you have your Lab 1 data, and we're going to create a new shapefile, and we're going to call it Clare Towns. Make sure that shapefile here is highlighted, and we're going to click Save. And then OK. When given the option to add it to the map, we want to click Yes. And we can see that the Clare Towns dataset has been added. Now, in order to see this clearer, we might choose to switch off the Irish Towns dataset, and you can see here, if we zoom in again, that all the towns in Clare have been highlighted and identified. Now we'll see here the county is still highlighted. We can either switch off that by going back to our query tool and just clicking away from that in the C, or we could go into our attribute table and choose to unhighlight it in there if we wanted to. Okay, so that is how to perform a basic spatial query. What we've done is we've told the GIS to look within a specific county and to select all the entities a part of another file, which is the Irish Towns shapefile, and pull them out to create a separate file.